Hey y'all, in this tutorial I'm going to show you a quick demo for how to do some post-processing on an image that you've brought into your computer. Maybe it's a model photo that you want to clean up, or maybe it's a drawing that you want to increase the contrast of and make it look like it's on a nice pure white background. And that's what I've got in this case. So as you can see here, I've got this sketch of a toilet in a notebook, and the white paper is coming in as yellow, and I've got all this other color stuff bleeding in from the other page, and maybe I want to preserve it for some reason and use it on a board, and I want this to be a nice crisp white background. So here's how I can make that happen. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to crop it, because I'm just going to do that first. That's an easy first step, very straightforward, and reduce the size of the image that I'm working with. Say okay, and now what I've got is I've got this image in Photoshop, and I've got it as a background layer, which is fine for now. Because what I want to do is I'm going to add an adjustment layer where I'm going to tell it what part of the image is supposed to be just pure white background. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go down to my little adjustment layer button here, click it, and I'm going to go to the levels option, click that, and now you can see it gives me this little menu here, and on this menu I've got three eyedroppers. I've got a black one, a gray one, and a white one. The black one lets me select an area of the image that's supposed to be pure black. I don't have one of those, but I do have an area of the image that I want to be pure white. So I'm going to choose the white eyedropper. And now I'm going to click some part of the image that I want to be white. So let's just say I'll start here. That's pretty good. Now, because the background is not actually one color, then what it's going to do is it's going to really depend on where I click on this background. It's really going to affect how much adjustment Photoshop does. So if I click somewhere that's a little bit darker, like maybe here, it's going to crank up that brightness a lot more. Now you need to be careful when you're doing this, because if I click an area that's too dark, it's going to start just really washing stuff out, and I might start to lose details that I want. So, but in this case, this looks pretty good. So I'm just going to say that this is fine with me for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up some of these other details manually. So once I've done that, what I can do is I can combine this image into one layer, so I can edit it more easily. And the way that I do that is I'm going to, in my levels tab over here, with just shift click the other layer, right click, and I'm going to merge the layers, and now they're just all one layer that I can easily edit at once. So I'm going to unlock it, and then what I'm going to do is, what I could do is I could just erase this here. So if I open my little eraser, then I can just start erasing that part of the image. Now, as you can see, Photoshop doesn't really know what to do with that, because there's nothing underneath it. So it's just kind of exposing blank, empty, transparent pixels. So what I can do is I can go down here to the plus, and I can add another layer. Now, by default, Photoshop always adds the newest layer on top of the old one, so I can slide it under the other layer, and then what I can do is I can make that layer a solid color. So in my case, I just want it to be white. So with that layer selected, I'm going to go down to the adjustments button, and I'm going to select solid color. Now, for some reason, it made it blue, so I'm just going to tell it to be white instead. And now you can see that area that I've erased is just a pure white background. So what I can continue to do if I want is go back to the layer that I want to erase, and I can select my eraser tool, and I can kind of just go through and start erasing things that I don't really want, and then exposing that white layer underneath. And I won't go through the trouble of actually fine-tuning this in the demo, because it takes a little bit of time to get it just right. But what I will show you is that I've still got this issue where I've got two different colors. I've got the red toilet, and I've got the black sketches from the other side of the paper coming through. And I just want this image to be two colors. Maybe it's black and white, maybe it's red and white. Either way, I want it to kind of obscure the other stuff that's coming through. So the way that I'm going to do that is I can go ahead and add another layer here, and that layer is going to be called a gradient map. So what that's going to do is it's going to let me select a couple of different colors and map all of the other colors on this image, so that it's some shade of those 2 or 3 colors, depending on how many colors I add to the gradient map. You can actually add more than that, but for now we're just going to stick with 2. So let's say that I want everything in this image to be red and white. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my adjustment layer. I'm going to add another one. That's the gradient map tool here. Click this button, And what you can see what it's done is it's remapped all of the colors in the image to correspond to whatever this gradient is. And for some reason, it's come in as this kind of maroon and blue colors. But I want it to be some other colors. So I'm going to click on this little bar here. It's going to open this menu, and I can come down here to these colors and select new ones. So let's say maybe I want white, and I said red, so let's go with red. Cool. Now it gave me the opposite of what I wanted, but that's easy to fix because I can just swap these sliders around. And then I've pretty much got what I wanted. So now you can see I've got a pure, well, it's just two colors now in my image. And I've got different shades of the two colors, but it's a little bit more sophisticated than just posterizing the image where you have two pure colors and no shades of them. This way everything's red and white and no other colors, but I've still got the nuances of all the other shades. And so the little bits of garbage that were coming through the other side of the paper, they look like they're intentional, or they don't look quite so bad. And then I can continue to adjust this as needed. And that's how you can make your images much tidier.